That brings them right down to my side.
All right, if I can have your attention. First thing I'd like to do is once again thank the outgoing board members, Bob Giddings, Barbara Robinson, and Chuck Chenault for all the work they've done in the last several years. Now, Bob will sit there and say, give him an asterisk for 7 months. So I think they did an outstanding job, had a lot of difficult issues to deal with, and did an excellent job, especially with the treasury. All right, so with that, I'll have you guys go to the seats, go to your seats.
All right. You're done.
And the next thing I like to do is welcome the new board members. And the first board member elected was Mr. John Taylor. Come up, take a seat. Ms. Fran Diaz. Mr. John Felton. And Mr. Herm Hess. With that being the case, we do have a quorum, so I will call the meeting to order. And with that, I'd like to talk about approving the agenda. Everybody should have a copy of it. Do I have a motion to approve it?
I'll move.
Any second? Second. Have a second? Any discussion?
Okay.
All in favor? Ayes have it. The next item would be for the open session for OVA member at this point in time. And open forum.
Yes, no, I'll wait.
All right. Now we've already done the election results, and the next thing we'll do is elect the board president, the new board president. So do I have any nominations for board president?
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. George.
I have a nomination for John Taylor.
All right. Mr. Taylor is one nomination. Mr. Herman.
I nominate Jim Kaiser.
All right, for me, okay. So all in favor? Any other further nominations for president? There being none, okay, we'll close the nominations. All in favor of Mr. John Taylor, signify by raising your hand.
Wait, point of order. We have to close the nominations before we vote.
We just did.
I'm sorry. What, sit there and pass me so fast?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I asked if there was any further nominations. Nobody raised their hand, so I said nominations are closed. And we'll go on.
I think that there's a point of order. I think that requires a motion to close the nomination.
All right, okay. Do I have a motion to close the order? The nominations?
So moved.
All right. All in favor of closing the nominations?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, now all in favor of for voting for Mr. John Taylor, signify by raising your hand. 4. Okay. All right, Mr. Taylor is the new president. And with that, I'll pass the baton and the microphone.
Don't give him that hammer. Oh, God, no. Not the hammer.
I won't use it on you, Jerry.
Okay.
I'm honored by the Oakmont community's expression of support. Pleased to have an opportunity to address OVA's responsibilities with this group of fellow residents, especially those that have been in the trenches for a couple of years ahead of me. You know, I'm especially happy to join a select group of my Singing Brook Circle neighbors. 49-member homeowner association formed in 1990. We've had 7 of our neighbors elected to the OVA board during that period of time. 5 of them went on to be presidents, and now I'm honored to join my neighbors. The next item on the agenda that was approved is to address the question of standing committees. In that connection, I'd like to break that part of the agenda up into several parts. If you have your agendas in front of you, other members of the board, item 1 is the Audiovisual and Technology Committee. Number 2 on the agenda was the Bus Committee. Number 3, the Communications Committee. Number 6, the Long Range Planning Committee. And number 7, the Oakmont Community Development Committee. I'd appreciate a motion to affirm the appointment of the chairs and the members of that committee for
Did you
the
include
ensuing board year.
Did you omit the landscape improvement for?
I omitted landscape improvement and facilities and finance for the time being.
Thank you, okay. I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor of extending those 5 committees for the ensuing year along with their members and chairman? Raise your hand. I would also appreciate a motion to extend the Facilities Improvement Committee chair and members and the Landscape Improvement Committee chair and members until the 16th of July. My thinking behind asking your consideration in that kind of motion is simply that we have a lot of activities facing us to be seriously addressed, and one element of their work has not included the maintenance aspect of our community's responsibilities. And so I would propose that as a board, we work on a modification of the responsibilities of the Facilities and the Landscape Improvement Committee to consider some role in advising on maintenance activities that are related to the kind of improvements that we're going to be seriously talking about, so that at the end of this temporary period extending to July 16th, we'll have a chance in workshops to consider that aspect of it and get an appropriate way of addressing the list of maintenance items brought up by the forensic study and other responsibilities. So if a motion to extend them for this period could be made, I'd appreciate it.
That's a move. I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you. Regarding the Finance Committee, the last of the standing committees on the agenda, I would like to propose that we recharter and restructure the membership of the Finance Committee. I would like us to consider, when we come to the further nominations of board officers, to relieve all of the board members of the tasks related to the treasurer's work and the secretary's work, so that the members of the board can focus on the issues that we are trying to address on behalf of the community, and that we can have continuity in those kinds of tasks and accurate recommendations and record keeping. And then to redefine the Finance Committee's role so that the board would have the benefit of not only continuity in the treasurer's position, but a separate point of view of some aspects of our finances from the Finance Committee. And that will take some discussion that is not, does not fit into today's agenda, but can come up with a way of making sure that the really wide-ranging financial challenges that we face can be addressed, and resolve the question of who would chair the Finance Committee and who would be the membership of the Finance Committee at a future date.
Well, when would this take place, John?
I would hope that we could work on it in the same time frame as we set for the Facilities Improvement and Landscape Improvement changes, July the 16th.
I think then you're working without a treasurer for almost 3 months.
I would hope not. I would hope when we come to the treasurer's election item that we do that this afternoon.
I see, okay.
So if there's a motion to recharter and restructure the membership of the Finance Committee, I would appreciate that.
So moved.
A second?
I'll say.
Moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Can we have a discussion?
You certainly may. Pardon me?
Yeah, I would like, Mr. President, that you restate your goal in rechartering. What would be the aspects of that, so that we have a full understanding? I think I missed a couple of points here.
I believe it would be helpful to have a Finance Committee who had additional responsibilities to look into the evaluation that committees bring forth for their particular recommendations. I think we need to be sure that we're doing the bidding process correctly and getting multiple options. And I think committees tend to focus on what needs to be done, and it's been my observation that sometimes the financing aspects of it are not as thoroughly addressed as they need to be. So I'm not talking at all about an approval or a disapproval. I'm talking about a Finance Committee that will simply be sure and address all the aspects of the recommendations that are being brought forth from committees.
Yeah, thank you.
And I could hope that, though we'll get to this later, that we could have an independent review of our fund situation from the treasurer, independent of the Finance Committee, so that we would in turn, as a board, have the broadest possible perspective of what our financial situation is in deciding whether or not to make a commitment.
Very clear, thank you.
John,
Yes, Barbara?
I have a question. Are you, do not laugh. Are you, if I understand you correctly, are you saying that you're disbanding the Finance Committee effective immediately and then you're restructuring it?
That's what I'm proposing.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the board? All in favor, say aye. We next have a list of other committees. We have the 50th Anniversary Ad Hoc Committee. We have an IT Conversion Ad Hoc Committee. We have Oakmont Emergency Preparedness Committee. And we have the Architectural Committee that are listed on the agenda. But on my list of committees, we also have as current committees, and please correct me on this if my list is incorrect, we have Movies at Oakmont as a committee. We have a Facility Guest Policy Committee. We have a Community Gardens representative, and we have a Pythian Road Entrance Committee. And I don't know whether those need to be continued or not.
Well, Mr. President, I've put input to have this revised because the Facility Guest Policy Ad Hoc Committee no longer exists.
Been disbanded?
They've done their work. The Movies at Oakmont Ad Hoc Committee no longer exists. The group itself does, but the ad hoc committee that reformed it does not exist anymore.
Okay.
The Oakmont Community Gardens Club, well, its name is not a committee, so I figure it should not be down there.
Okay.
And let's see, I think that's about
Pythian Road.
Oh, Pythian Road. That's they finished their work on that, so that work that is disbanded also.
Okay.
Ms. Cassell came to a meeting and.
So then we have just 4 committees
Well, it's almost finished.
that are in the other committee category.
Give or take a week.
Do I have a motion that
I
we?
have a question?
Question?
Yes. I would like to suggest that the Oakmont Emergency Preparedness Committee be moved up to a standing committee. It's an ongoing, full-strength effort to benefit all of us. It's not an ad hoc committee. I'd like to see it categorized at a higher priority.
Mr. President, in our policies and the procedures that we've passed previously, the Oakmont Emergency Preparedness Committee is a standing committee of the board.
Right. And
It just is not, it's been improperly listed on this sheet.
Okay, so it's not an issue then.
That's correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
So we'll make a change in that classification for the next list that we draw up.
Correct.
Do I have a motion to continue under the chairmanship and membership the 4 committees, 50th Anniversary, IT Conversion, Oakmont Emergency Preparedness, and Architectural Committee?
I so move.
Second? Second by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I believe that's the end of the committee aspects of the agenda. We now have the election of the vice president, and I would like to nominate John Felton for the vice president's chair. Are there other nominations? Move the nominations be closed.
So, second.
You okay with that, John?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that. You're a trained missile.
All in favor then, please, of John Felton being elected to the vice president's chair? Thank you. As I explained previously, the secretary is the second item under item 7. I would hope to fill that position from a non-board member.
How do you expect to do that, John? Could you explain your thinking a little bit for me?
Yes, the bylaws provide for non-board members
Well, I
to fill
realize
these
that.
officers'
I realize
roles.
that.
And so I would propose to contact from a list of 10 names that I have, which I couldn't do prior to being elected, those individuals that have the kind of background, including listening skills, note-taking skills, and reporting to the community skills in our board meetings to fill that job, and therefore, particularly in executive sessions, permit the board members to concentrate their minds, all of them, on the matters under discussion, and have a non-board member, third party, so to speak, make sure that we keep the right notes and make the right reports back to the community. And I don't think we lose anything as a community by deferring that selection until you and I and others can address the question of who we would want to nominate for that job.
Yeah, question. Have you contacted the 10 possible candidates for that position, and have they agreed?
No, I have not contacted them because I didn't feel I was in an authority position to make an offer.
So they may or may not be 10.
There may not be more than one of them. Hopefully there may be one. But I would also look to you, Herm, as well as other members of the board to support this change in approach as far as the secretary's position is concerned. Hearing no objections, we'll skip the secretary's selection and go to the treasurer's job. At the Finance Committee meeting last week, I expressed my appreciation for the kind of commitment Chuck Chenault had made and the kind of expertise and continuity he's provided for 2 years. And seeing him here today, if he would be willing to serve, I would appreciate his nomination to serve as treasurer and to help us define the specific roles of treasurer as well as the differing roles for the Finance Committee for the ensuing year.
I would nominate Chuck Chenault as treasurer.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? Chuck, are you with us?
I'm willing as long as I can have a new finance committee.
As long as what?
I can set a new finance committee. I can have new finance committee members.
I think it's appropriate for you to have input to that. We are not talking about your chairing the Finance Committee.
Okay, that, to me, that doesn't make any sense at all, but we can talk about that.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. All in favor? Thank you. The assignment of board members as liaisons to committees is the next order of business. I have another concept here that I'd like to share with you. I believe it's important in the issues that we're facing for the board to have a stronger direct interaction with committee chairs and their members on the complex subjects that they're dealing with. I'm troubled by the difficulty of knowing what they're really talking about from the kind of minutes that committees present. They're really action-oriented, minimal statements. And I would suggest that we'll be stronger if the board, on a regularly scheduled basis, can interact directly with the committee chairs and their members on a rotating basis. so that we would have maybe once every 3 months a meeting with the Finance Committee and fix it and intersperse in that with the Facilities Improvement Committee and with the Audio Visual Committee and so forth. And we perhaps could do this as an item, line item in our regular monthly board meetings, but we might also do that in workshop kinds of sessions that I would propose that we schedule. And so I would ask you to support the idea of deferring the appointment of liaisons and substitute a regular rotating in-person reporting activity for committees.
At the present time, we're undergoing a revision of our committee guidelines, our policies regarding committees. So whether or not the new board will approve that that new policy, I don't know. But one of the portions of that new policy is to have a regular, at least a quarterly meeting of the chairs of the key committees to get together on a regular basis. I just think that I would suggest that this be a subject for a workshop very soon where we can discuss this, proposed amendment to the, or revision of the policies and procedures in regard to committees.
I support that. I support that. So we'll defer the appointment of liaisons as part of the business today. And the next item is item 9. Item 9, new business. As far as new business is concerned, it mentions establishing dates for upcoming board activities. And the most immediate date is tomorrow, when committee chairs and board members will participate in the training session that Manager Arnold has organized at the East Rec Center. John Felton, I'll appreciate your taking the lead as vice president at the start of that meeting. I have another appointment that will keep me away until 10 o'clock. So from 9 to 10, please be sure you learn all you can. And feel good.
I have an empty head right now, it's funny.
That's not good.
I mean, it's not filled with things to do. I'm here.
Yeah, I'd rephrase that, John.
As far as future dates, these aren't specific dates, but they're time frames that I hope that the members of the board and the office staff could cooperate with. I would like to see us focus on a longer term advance notice for the agendas of our meetings. I really don't see any reason why we need to go down to 4 days before the date of a meeting. I believe with proper planning of our work that we should be able to post agendas a minimum of a week in advance and maybe 10 days, simply by deciding that we're going to manage what we're going to talk about at any particular meeting and assure ourselves that the things that we're going to talk about at that particular meeting fit within a manageable time frame for both the seating time for members of the board and attention span and seating time for members of the public. So I would hope, Patricia, that we could work on, and I guess one of the things that the president has to do is set the agenda.
Yeah. We can put it out tomorrow if you can get it to me today.
So if you will help me in that regard, as well as other members of the board who want to be sure something gets on an appropriate agenda.
I would suggest that a week is as far out as you want to extend this. There's too many things come up that really need our action sometimes when we really can't regardless of how much we want to manage that agenda, we really can't defer everything sometimes for another month. And so I would like to consider that you would put it's okay to extend it out to possibly a week, but I don't think it should go beyond that.
Appreciate that input. You've got the experience in doing it that I don't have at this point. I'd also like to see if we could focus on having the minutes of our meetings in their draft form available within 14 days of the time that we meet. I think it helps the community have an additional opportunity to keep in touch with what board has done in their absence. And if you can give me and whoever we select as secretary the help to focus on a more timely availability of board meeting minutes.
That's 14 calendar days?
I hadn't counted any one way or another. I'll be glad to say
It makes a
calendar
difference.
days.
John, just so you know, that minutes are usually ready for board review by the Friday following the board meeting. But because of board members' schedules, we don't always get the initial feedback for longer than that, but we can certainly do it.
Well, then we'll all have to focus on providing feedback.
John,
Yes, Tom?
perhaps we should make it working days rather than calendar days. For example, should we, for some reason, have a meeting on a Friday, then there are 2 weekends in there, now you have 10 days to get it done. So, just a thought.
I picked 14 days as an arbitrary thing without thinking about business days or weekend days. My only thrust in mentioning it to you today is I'd like to make agendas and minutes and so forth more readily available to the community
So John,
with your support.
So I'm clear, so what you're asking is that we have minutes ready to post to the community 14 days after the meeting, okay?
I would like to schedule a personnel, I didn't appoint the personnel committee. Personnel committee wasn't listed under the standing committees up above.
Right, that's something for you to do.
I would like to appoint John Felton and Fran Diaz to the Personnel Committee. And I would like to schedule a meeting of the Personnel Committee on April 9th at 1:30 p.m. in the Executive Conference Room. I'd appreciate it, Jim, if you and Herm, as the link to that particular activity, could participate with us at 1:30 to provide us the background on where things stand as far as personnel activities are concerned.
I'll have to bow to Herm because I'll be out of pocket from the 9th to about the 23rd.
What day is it?
The 9th.
April 9th.
What day is that?
That's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, John, excuse me. Published elsewhere it was to be at 1 p.m., Suite 9.
That's fine. Do you object to 1:30?
No, but have you identified where?
In Suite 9.
Okay.
I assume Suite 9 can be made available.
Always.
Yeah. And then, Patricia, I'd like you to join us for a session of that Personnel Committee meeting at 2:30 and give us particularly some background on the organization chart for the staff and the players. Initially scheduled in a note that I received as a candidate for April 9th was a board goal setting.
Goal setting?
Board goal setting.
Yeah.
I sent all of you an email that I worked on over the weekend asking you to consider deferring the goal setting session. My reason for this is that as a candidate for the board, I place significant emphasis, and still do, on the importance of getting Oakmont resident input before we make decisions. And I think goals are major decisions at this early step in the formation of a new board with 4 of us new to the process. And I drafted an article in support of my point of view titled Goals. And you may have gotten it as an attachment to the email that I sent out. And it simply addresses the subject to the community in an article that I hope it's timely to still get in the April 15th issue. Our desire to have their input for consideration as part of the board's goal-setting process. And so I would propose having our goal-setting meeting on the 4th of June, which is a Tuesday. And that falls in line with my hope that we will establish a regular pattern of first Tuesday workshops to go with our third Tuesday regular board meetings, so that if we have to have special meetings, we've all got on our calendars the idea that the first Tuesday and the third Tuesday will be blocked off to take care of association business. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. Within your memo, I think you indicated you might have those meetings in room B. I would suggest that probably we should try to schedule those meetings in, even though there possibly will be workshop meetings as opposed to regular board meetings. There may also be an adjourned board meeting, which would be an excellent to have that date set in advance. But we did have a workshop meeting not too long ago in room B where people were pushed out the door practically. We didn't have enough room. I'm just suggesting that if we can arrange to have that first Tuesday someplace in one of the major venues on a regular basis, it would be helpful.
Appreciate the suggestion if they become popular sources. Yes, Evelyn?
We just make sure that there's no conflict, because the first Tuesday is Facility Improvement Committee standing meeting at 1:30. So check the schedule, if you will, for any standing committee meetings on that date.
It's also landscape.
That's exactly. Also, Landscape Improvement
First
Committee
Tuesdays?
is at 10 o'clock. So you've got 2 major committees who meet on that same day.
Yeah, you got landscape meeting at 10
And one at 1:30?
and 1:30 at the facilities, correct?
Right.
And do you think that that needs to influence our meeting at a separate?
If you have any liaison, if you would continue that policy of any of our members attending those meetings, it would affect us.
John, would you be comfortable having your workshop at 3?
I would be comfortable with having it at 3 o'clock. I just didn't check with Penny ahead of time whether or not room B was available at 3 o'clock.
With all due respect, I feel also that room B, although it's a wonderful room, initially limits not only space, but it's not as good a room for a workshop.
And the alternative you think would best?
Either a facility here at the west or at the east.
Okay. Well, I have no reason for not doing it either at 1 or 3 and meeting at the east or the west.
Well,
so let's put it down on the calendar and see if we can clear the date for that.
Let's try the east. I think this is table tennis venue, so I would say let's see if we can do 3 o'clock in the east, and I'll let you know if I can't.
Okay. Could you all hear that? That we're going to block off still the first Tuesday, but we're going to make it 3 o'clock, and we're going to try and do it at the east. One other message that I sent out ahead of time. You can have that. You can have that for yours.
I'd like you to have that.
Oh, got it. I don't know that that I got concurrence from everyone regarding the change in the goal-setting timeframe. Do I have support from members of the board for deferring that in order to get resident input? Thank you. The last item that I wanted to bring up under upcoming board activities doesn't involve a specific date, but if nobody objects as far as the agenda is concerned, I'd like to offer it this afternoon. I believe as a board, the outgoing board as well as the incoming board have really concentrated on providing a civil environment for our communities. Meetings, not always reciprocated. And in order to try and expand the kind of civility that I think that the board intends, I had proposed the adoption of a code of civility that we would sign on for, and that we would make a deliberate effort to ask our committee chairs and members to adopt the same kind of code and use that hopefully as a tumbling block so that it would become over time a guideline for all of the residents of our community to interact with one another and especially at our board meetings. Did you, any of you see, react to it, have any comments about that? Yes?
Well, I think that it's a great idea. I support the concept, and the points that you made were very well taken.
Well, if I could then, as a matter of procedure, ask for a motion that the members of the board adopt and sign off on a code of civility and commend consideration of that to our committee chairs and members, I would appreciate the motion.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Well, if we are being, following the rules to a letter, this is not an agenda item.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd like time to review it before I totally agree with it.
I'll be glad to put it on a future agenda if the...
I'll withdraw
Why don't you put it on our next regular meeting agenda?
We'll be glad to.
No, I don't disagree with it at all.
We didn't...
May I suggest that in the fitness club, we have a new bulletin board direction with an excellent code of civility, and I suggest that this board take a look at that.
Thank you.
Good point, Jerry.
I notice item number 10 is a taskmaster list. I don't think I appointed a taskmaster that I probably should have.
Well, usually Ms. Arnold will fill in if we haven't had one at the time, but I don't know if there's been any tasks really identified at this point, has there?
Only those related to staff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an April board meeting on the 16th. We'll have a board workshop on May the 7th, and then we'll have a May 21st board meeting, and we'll try and get into that first and third Tuesday.
May 7th, I lost that one, May 7th?
That's what he said, yeah, that's it.
In June?
Yeah, that's the first Tuesday in May.
Ah,
Well, you
first
meant
Tuesday.
first Tuesday in June, didn't you?
You started with the first Tuesday in June, you just
June
moved it to the
4th.
first.
And then the June 4th, first Tuesday in June as well.
So you're gonna start with, okay.
Oh, you want one in May also?
Yeah.
So would you repeat what the May 7th meeting will be?
Workshop,
A workshop.
Okay, and what time and where?
3 o'clock at the east.
Okay.
You're not proposing a workshop other than the one tomorrow before May 7th, then, correct?
That's right. Any other business?
Tricia,
Yes.
could you send out an email? I just didn't even hardly get, I didn't even get home. I've been in the hospital all morning. And could you send me an email with all these dates?
Yes, sir.
appreciate it, thank you.
Yes,
John,
Ron?
you're talking specifically about the first Tuesdays in May and June, but as I understand it, you're proposing a standard workshop on the first Tuesday of every month.
At 3.
That's correct.
Right. So it's not just those two dates, it's
But I
every
think we
month,
need
the
to
first
reserve the possibility that that scheduled workshop could turn into a special board meeting.
Right.
In other words, I'm trying to establish a pattern so we don't have to hunt for calendar dates for people.
Or an adjourned board meeting if that can happen.
So that will be on unless we're notified that there will be none.
That's right.
That's, okay, that's the best way to do it.
Art, we know that it conflicts with yours, except so we're setting it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I know what you were gonna say.
John, I have a question.
Yes,
Back
John?
up for a moment and define what is meant by the taskmaster list. I'm not familiar with that term.
Jim, can you do that?
Yes, we usually, at the beginning of each meeting, will assign a timekeeper and a taskmaster. The timekeeper will sit there and we'll usually set a time for comments from the public, 3 minutes, and then the timekeeper will enforce that. We'll give them the time to do that. And also then we assign someone on the board, usually, to be the taskmaster. And what they do is write down tasks that have been assigned to people, what the task is, who was responsible, and the date. And at the end of the meeting, that taskmaster then reads all that back to the board to make sure that everybody's got that.
Thank you. Kind of a to-do list. So
Yeah, essentially is what it is, yes.
The other question is, do you have a parliamentarian?
By the way, John, it's something that I'm gonna propose that the vice president take over that job.
Don't laugh. In many organizations, the vice president is the parliamentarian.
There you have it.
Way to go.
If there's nothing else, thank you for your indulgence.
John, I think that there's a problem that I see right away. And you've got 2 Herms on the board, and both of them have the last initial H.
That's not a problem.
Now, I thought we could have old Herm and new Herm, but I don't think you'd like that. So Herm 1.
Actually, old Herm is older than new Herm.
No, he's older.
Or you could be Herm 1 and Herm 2.
No, I'm Herm Cube.
Herm Q.
Yeah, because I have 3 H's.
Oh, okay. Herm squared.
No, that's Herm squared.
Cube.
I'm cute. Okay.
Squared and cube. Okay, square Herm, cube Herm. Thank you and
Well, one could be
congratulations.
Herman, which is probably accurate.
Thank you, John.
Oh, well. Next meeting at the 4 round table.